Welcome to This Team Is Killing Us, a podcast about what the Carolina Panthers do to good people. She is Lauren Brownlow. I am Demetri Ravanas. And Lauren, I can't say this is what is killing me this week, but it really is easy to forget how bad things can go for this team until you see it play out in real time. Both you and I, on Sunday, we texted each other. Probably after the Bills' first drive of the third quarter, was like, okay, that's it. I'm going to do something else with my time.
Yeah, I mean, it did not take me long to throw the game on mute and through various means I don't need to discuss here, watch Celebrity Traders UK instead, which I had a much better time doing, to be fair. So, I have no regrets. I
went out and rode my bike because
it's probably better.
Yeah, I just couldn't imagine sticking with this thing as lifeless as the team looked. I mean, I think if Bryce were in there, the Bills would have been beatable. Just because it would have given you a guy that could move the pocket a little more, would have created a little bit more opportunities for things to not look so like 1960s football, like the offense did at times during that game. But that being said, I never really thought that the Panthers were going to win that game. I kind of expected that we would be starting this show where we are, which is the fact that at the halfway point, this team is sitting at 500. Not bad, not great, but certainly pretty good considering they have now won more than half of the games this season that they have won in the previous two seasons combined.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember that too, because I said they'd win 7. And I think I probably let myself get a little too swept up into okay, this is it, because it is the first consequential game the Panthers have played after September in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
It was that. And so, because it was wow, this would be a huge deal if they could win a game like this against a team like this, against a quarterback like this, Panthers North, etc. It would be a huge deal. And it was a big moment for them to potentially, because in theory, like you said, it would have been a winnable game under normal circumstances, and it raised a whole other host of concerns for me, to be honest with you, because I texted you during the game and I said because it was amazing, it was even close for a little while.
Yeah,
because they were getting outplayed the whole time, and you were just when is the dam gonna break kind of thing. And I told you the only thing they can't do is, I think we used the word murder, was get murdered. That was the only thing that was going to be a concern to me going forward. And that's exactly what happened. And so now I do have some more some more concerns, bigger picture, but I did think they'd win 7 games. They're still on track to do that potentially. So I'm trying not to overreact. It's not like we were the only team in the NFC South to have a horrible day. So,
I mean, look, there was, I think, oh man, was it
Atlanta?
Was it Dominique Foxworth? I think I heard say that really outside of that Packers-Steelers game, it was a day full of one of these teams is not like the other in the NFL on Sunday. But let's focus on the Panthers. Let's talk about going forward. We mentioned this last week as we were celebrating the team having its first winning record in 4 years. The tougher part of the schedule starts right now. Not just the Bills, now they go into the Packers. I think they play they play the Saints at home, then the Falcons on the road, and then it's the Rams. I mean, there is not a whole lot of breathing room for this team right now, especially given that while we focus on Bryce for this game, Bryce is far from the only guy dealing with injuries that are taking them out of action right now.
Yeah, the O-line's a bit of a mash unit at the moment.
We're gonna save going in depth on that for later in the show, because there is just so much to talk about with the injuries on the O-line.
It's not good.
No, not at all. I will say this surprised me. BetOnline released their updated midway point win totals for every team. Do you know what the win total for the Panthers was at the beginning of the year?
I'd guess I'd say 5.5.
So 6.5 at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
After the first 4 weeks, it was revised down to 5.5.
I was going to say 6.5. You're so good at this because that's just at the point where I would have been like,
Well, here's back to, man, they're so good at this. It was revised up today from 5.5 to 7.5. And
whoa,
I think 7 is probably going to happen. I think 8 is doable. I would not bet on 8, but I also
7.5. Whoa, Tiger.
Yeah. It is the boy, like that is the perfect number that you look at and go, I don't know what to do here. If you're rational, I don't know what to do here. If you are a true believer one way or the other, you are like you are walking into the casino with the target on your forehead.
If I hated myself more than I already seem to, based on the fact that I subject myself to this week in and week out, I would just bet on the under because that's what I think will happen. But either I'm not going to do that because, like, why would I want that? If they go above that, I will be happy and then lose money. Like that sounds like a terrible time. So no, thank you.
Exactly. It is why so many people tell you not to bet one way or the other on the team that you love. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the value that BryceYoung brings to this team. It feels like for 3 seasons, for 2.5 seasons now, we have been week to week on he can do it. No, he can't. He can do it. No, he can't. I think you saw whether or not he is the guy that will be the quarterback for this team in 2035. Right now, there is a huge difference in having him in there versus not having him in there. And that doesn't mean he's the only one in the league that can do that, but he is the best option the Panthers have right now.
Yeah, and that sort of, I got, I don't like calling them skeets because, I grew up with Little John. So
sure.
But regardless, I got a blue sky response. How about that? About Andy Dalton asking me that question about, like, should they go after another backup? And at first I was kind of like, but then I was like, well, because he has the last couple times they've needed him for extended action, he has been, because here's the thing, like he's of a certain age. It is what it is. He's going to get hit, right? We all understand this. He's going to get sacked. He understands this. However, what you can't do as the backup, you have one job. What is that job? Don't turn it over.
Don't turn it over. Right.
And he can't do that job right now, clearly. Yeah. So like, I just, at a certain point, you just kind of go, okay, you're putting everyone into a hole at this point. Like, I could not believe it was like watching a slow motion, like murder happen when he got the ball hit out on his run. I'm like, bro, why are you running? You are 37.
It's not just that. It is also like the one time in the entire game he cannot take a sack at the end of the first half. Like, as soon as the ball got snapped, I said to Aaron, my son, Aaron, he's getting sacked. Like, he's not getting out of this. You and I talked about this right as free agency opened. I said, oh gosh, Tyrod Taylor or Zach Wilson. And
to your credit, like you said that, I was the one that was like, it's fine. Because I felt like Andy had been good enough. But I just, it is hard to ignore the last couple times he's been called into extended duty, like what's happened.
Yeah, and I mean, look, everything seems to be on pace that Bryce is back this week.
Really? From a high ankle? Okay.
And look, I don't want to say everything is on pace for Bryce to be back this week, so it's fine. Andy can never hurt us again, because I don't think that Andy Dalton in a vacuum is an instant loss. I think that
I don't either.
Yeah, I think that if you had Andy going not this coming week, but next week against the Saints, I would feel a lot better about that than I would about him going against the Packers or the Bills. But certainly,
but to be fair, the thing is, this is what I'm thinking about too, though. Are they beating the Packers with Bryce? Like, I really don't think so.
I don't think they are either.
So what's the point? Why are you rushing him back? If he's if it's a high ankle, I just don't like that. I
do think one thing that Bryce, and look, hindsight is always 2020. You can always fan fiction your way into believing X person would have done this in this situation. Yeah, I do think that inability, though, to move the pocket, to be mobile in a way that makes up for, be it a bad or depleted offensive line. Like, clearly they were missing that on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, when the Bills decided that they wanted to sack Andy Dalton, that was exactly what the hell happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When they decided they wanted to perform circus-style interceptions against Andy Dalton, that is exactly what was going to happen. Before we move on here, since we are talking about Andy Dalton going down in the backfield, I do want to dedicate some time to that dirty ass play by whichever Bosa brother it is.
Who even cares? They're
on
both
the Bills. I can't tell you which is which. I can't even tell you which one was in the league first at this point. The trip in real time, I thought, boy, I think he got the raw end of the deal. And then you see it in slow motion, and it is so blatantly obvious that he sticks.
By the way, credit to Greg Olsen. He called that out right away.
Yeah,
like Greg Olsen was like, that's exactly what that just was. Like, he saw it, I think, even in real time.
He did. Yeah, he did. And that's why, like, I
don't think I've ever seen that called on a defensive player. I've seen it called sometimes, like, on offensive linemen, I think, like, trying to trip up a defender or getting to the quarterback or whatever. Or, like, I don't think I've seen it called like that. I
was telling my son as we were watching, because he asked me that question. I was telling my son as we were watching that, I feel like I've seen that called before, but it was so long ago that I could not tell you when or who or what or anything like that. It is such a rare call, but you're right. Credit to Greg for picking up on it right away. Let's swing to a little bit of positivity here. Where is it obvious right now that this team has improved? Like, just from week 2 to now, where is it obvious that this team, like, things are clicking with this team a little bit?
I mean, obviously, I think we have a lot of good things to say about the pass catchers, and I think that continues to be true. Yeah. That has improved, because I don't think at the beginning of the year everybody was quite where we wanted them to be.
I think you can tell a big difference. As much as we may have been rooting for the Hunter Renfrow story, I think you could tell a big difference between where they were in the beginning versus who was supposed to be on this roster. Like, Coker being back is a huge deal.
Yeah, and he played well. You know, and Jatavian Sanders came back. He didn't get quite as much, but, like, he was in there, and that's good. And T-Mac played well as well. So, like, you know, for the most part. So, like, and obviously the tight ends we've been high on the whole time. And and Xavier Leggett continues to be pretty good. So, like, everybody's been improving there for sure. I still think overall the defense has. I think they were just in a tough situation, and they actually, I think, stood up for the most part pretty well throughout, like, most of the first half. And I said this last year too, or I said this certainly a lot more 2 years ago, but, like, when you're worn down and, like, when your offense can't do anything over and over and over again, I do think, like, it just will wear you down mentally, if nothing else.
I think it is clear. Like, I think that two things that seem opposite actually are both true about the pass rush in particular. They obviously are better than last year. There is still room to improve because Scorton and Uman Mielen are rookies, right? Like, obviously they have room to get better. Wanham hasn't recorded a sack all year. Like, so there is still, and Pat Jones is now out for the season. Like, there is still more that unit can be doing, but that unit is better from week to week, it seems like.
100% they are. Overall, I think they've been much better against the run. Obviously, it was not a great day for that against the Bills, but it is what it is. And I did think, like, for the most part, I thought Josh Allen would have done more. I think that they've got some issues that they're still ironing out offensive, like in the pass game. Because there was one play where Josh was running around for, like, what felt like 7 seconds and could not find anyone open. And I was like, that seems crazy. So, like, either you're not seeing them, they're not open. I don't know what it is.
It feels like without Stefon Diggs, who I know wasn't there last year either, but it feels like without Diggs, I know Khalil Shakir has performed above expectation in the NFL, but it feels like those years, it feels like the year Cam took the team to the Super Bowl. Like, if that is your best receiver, brother, you've got problems, right? Doesn't mean he's not good. It just means, like, I think on any other contender, that guy is maybe in the slot. You know, he's certainly not your number one option. All right, so the big news this week is that we are getting I don't know what you would call it, a running back shuffle, or at least that is what Dave Canales seems to indicate, that more carries are going to go to RicoDowdle this week. I've got to wonder, Lauren, what this actually means, because we have seen a split the last 2 weeks, right? Neither guy is getting grossly more carries than the other, Chuba and RicoDowdle. But in each of the last 2 weeks, last week, Chuba got more carries. The week before, Dowdle got more carries. There is an element of the way Dave Canales leads that makes me feel like I will believe that there is a new alpha running back like 3 games from now if this trend continues. I just don't know what to make of we're shuffling up the running backs.
I mean, look, if he's anything like me, he's probably just tired of hearing about it. So he's like, fine, fine. Right. Here you go. He can have all of them. Chuba's always sucked. Is this what you wanted? Is this what y'all wanted? No, I know. It's fine. But look, I am on that page now with that, where I just think like,
I mean, I think
based
it's
on
pretty,
what we've seen.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. And look, this is the thing, right?
And I don't like watching Chuba struggle, so like I don't like to watch that. So
okay,
it's just that's part of it too.
This is sort of what I'm getting at. I don't even think necessarily Dowdle right now is so much better than Chuba. It is that whether it is blocking, whether it is speed, because Dowdle is clearly faster than Chuba. When there is an opportunity, Dowdle can make more out of it. Chuba seems
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, Chuba seems to be the one that
on a down basis.
Yeah, he's the most affected by hitting a wall. Again, the last 2 weeks, Dowdle has 25 carries, Chuba has 26. Like it is, and by the way, in that time, they are still scheming up quarterback runs. Even last week, they schemed up some quarterback runs. Etienne is getting about 4 or 5 carries a game.
I hope that's not true, Demetri. Are we sure they schemed to those?
That's very fair, Lauren. I guess.
I was like, I mean, look, we can criticize Dave, but I don't think he's a complete dummy.
No,
like
that's fair. I mean, there is one play clearly gets credited as a run, and it was the fumble.
That was Andy calling his own number. That I could, because I saw it happening literally in slow-mo. I could see what was going to happen. It was like I was a psychic. I was like, oh my God, no.
So here is my fear. If you shuffle up the running backs and you make Dowdle the alpha dog, I don't know that Chuba is built to be a change of pace back. I think the way he runs, his body type, I think that's built as like an old school bell cow, like I am taking 80% 100%. Of the carries kind of back. Doesn't mean that Dowdle hasn't earned the spot. I just wonder, what is Chuba as a change of pace?
Yeah, and I think that's where it gets tricky, right? Because everyone's like, wow. And it's like, and I'm not, look, I understand why people feel this way, okay? I genuinely do. I've seen the last couple weeks too. I get it, okay? However, it's like you said, I think part of Rico's effectiveness to a degree, I mean, we saw Rico be the bell cow in that one game against Dallas, who has like a horrendous run defense. So, okay, let's see how it works, but he's going to have to get that amount of carries, like you said, because I agree with you. Like you're not getting anything good out of bringing Chuba in for a couple relief carries. I don't think. I really don't. And so I just think like, all right, then you're going to have him be the guy, just the same way Chuba was the guy before, and like not getting much help. And that's going to have to just be the way it is, and hopefully, and hope for the best, and like not trying to be whatever about it, but with this offensive line looking how it is, and with the playing against the Packers instead of the Cowboys defense, I don't know that people are gonna like. I don't know that it's going to be as magical as they think it's going to be, and that's nothing to do with Rico. That's just to do with like, Yeah,
no, I agree with you. It's funny. This sort of feels like, and Joe Person of The Athletic put out a column today that is like the Panthers trade deadline primer. And he acknowledges like a lot of people have emailed about is Chuba on the trading block. And he said that it's hard to believe that that's the case. Because that is a dude that Canales still talks about as the culture guy in the locker room. Like doesn't want to.
Yeah. You know why? We know why, because we've been in these streets, Demetri, haven't we? We've been here. We have been in the streets. We were here during one of the worst offensive seasons of football I've ever subjected my eyeballs to in my life. Okay. And so was Chuba. All right. That's why. All right. He feels that way.
This is why reading what person had to say made me think of that season of offensive football that you are talking about. Remember, we were talking about Miles Sanders in this way. About is what Chuba is doing. Does it make
I remember.
him expendable?
That's why you won't hear me talking about Chuba that way too, because I can see.
But here's the thing, and here is where I know you're not going to like this comparison where I say like Chuba is kind of Miles Sanders right now. But if you think back to that season, but here's what I'm getting at. If you think back to that season, I believe Miles Sanders was 28 or 27. Chuba's 26. So, a year does make a difference in a running back's NFL lifespan. But he was the guy with the big contract that was hard to move. Chuba got his extension last year. And now it's not like it is prohibitive. But between coming off of an injury, being 26 years old, and also I think he's guaranteed $4.5 or $5 million a year. Like, it's not easy to move Chuba. So I think not only does the team not want to, I think the team knows that even if they did want to, they probably can't.
Yeah.
They can't force something significant. Like, it would have to be
they would not get a return on.
Right. It would have to be Deontay Johnson. This guy makes the locker room worse for the team to be motivated to move him. And obviously that's not the case with Chuba.
Exactly. In fact, it's the opposite. So people need to stop and understand that. I mean, I get, and it's just to me, I get what you're saying in those ways. In those ways, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I don't think cosmetically, aesthetically, whatever you want to say, that I'm seeing the same types of runs.
Right.
Because Sanders, I was just now, granted, are they being was Sanders always put in the best positions to succeed? Of course not. But Chuba was able
we
to
both
get
believe
up there.
that he was more hurt than the team led us to believe. When
I agree, and that made a lot more sense. And I do think that what you say, I think too about the injury is a big part of it for me too, which is why it's hard for me to watch him like this, because I've never seen Chuba look like this.
Yeah.
Really, I just even when he had no O-line, he hasn't looked like this. And so I do wonder how much that's playing a role in it for sure with him, with the injury and whatever. So yeah, I mean, do I think Rico should be the one getting the primary amount of carries right now? Yeah, I do. And I haven't. But am I going to go out there and say Chuba sucks now just because we do this all the time? I'm not going to compare the two 1-to-1 because I know that most people aren't doing this. However, you remember when Kyle Allen went out and had a fucking good game? Okay. Y'all remember what happened then? All of a sudden people were like, we don't need Cam anymore.
Answer, right.
It's ridiculous. It's just this is such an overreaction filled league. We don't have to be the team itself doesn't have to be subject to that just because. I think it actually, what you were saying about the backs and the roles they play too, I think it makes, because I was a little bit Dave, I don't know, man, you probably need to give Rico the bulk of these carries last week.
Right.
I was thinking that, I was kind of but I understand what you're saying. It's there's no point in putting Chuba out there in a support role because that's just not the kind of back that he is.
Right.
It's a really good point.
So if we have Dave getting over everyone's a winner, everyone has something to contribute, I don't want to make somebody number one and someone else number two. If we have him getting over that in the run game,
right?
I think the next place for him to get over that is in the return game because,
oh my God,
Lauren, this is some peewee football ass shit that there is no dedicated kick and punt returner on this team. This feels like
I hate it so much.
It feels like there is a league rule that everybody has to be put back there to return at least one punt or kick this season. Etienne was supposed to be the guy. I think
I never liked that.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna get to that here in just a second. I do think as the roles of the run game have become a little bit more defined, and he is going to get a certain number of carries in every game, I think you become a little bit more protective of your running backs. I think that's part of it. I agree with you. He never dazzled
I just don't think he seems to be any kind of a weapon.
I was going to say, he hasn't dazzled me, but I don't think he has done anything that is so egregious that he should have lost the job. Right.
Yeah, we're on the same page there. I'm just what's the point of this?
Right.
You don't have anyone else that could be more dangerous with the ball in their hands? Really? Well, there's no one?
All right, Lauren, here's the stats. 4 different guys have returned kicks this year.
Yep.
3 different guys have returned punts. Rico is one. Chuba is one. This is kick returners. Rico, Chuba, both had returns last week. Rico, Chuba, Etienne, DJ Dallas. What do they all have in common?
Yeah, they're all running backs.
They're all running backs. And I wonder
what year is this?
I wonder if this has to do with the new kickoff rule. I wonder
Yeah,
if
I was thinking that too. Yeah.
That, these are the guys that know how to weave through holes or whatever. But if you don't have one of those guys that is a home run threat, like what are we doing here?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, especially on punts. I think it bothers me more on punts because that's more because I'll be honest, sometimes the kickoff stuff happens and I catch myself still being like, what?
Yeah, on punts, by the way, Etienne has been the only guy to return both kicks and punts. The other two punt returners are Hunter Renfrow, who is no longer on the active roster, and David Moore, who is now buried on the active roster.
Why don't you just, if he's on the active roster, why not just put him out there then? Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, look, at this point, Etienne has returned, and last week is tough to go by because there were so few punts from the Bills. But I think that is Etienne's job. I think just because like the number of returns that Renfrow and Moore have gotten compared to Etienne are so low.
Listen, I'm at the point with it where like I am now just happy and okay when they don't screw it up. Yeah. And that's not where I'm like, okay, fine. He caught it. He has retained possession of the ball. And we have no penalties. Great. I am okay with that. Or don't catch it inside the 10 or whatever. Like any of those things happen and I am usually okay with it. And it's bad that that's my baseline. That shouldn't be my baseline. So that's a really good transition to something you and I have been asking all year long. Why have we not seen Jimmy Horn Jr. out there at least returning punts? Like we were told this was part of the reason they drafted him. I thought so. I think we assumed.
Agreed. I mean, 6th round, you didn't really need another receiver, and that is what he did to a great deal of success at Colorado.
Yes.
Lauren, I have to believe, as much as I'm still not entirely sure Dave is up for being an NFL head coach. That being said, I don't think he's an idiot. There has to be something that Horn is not able to do that has gotten us to this point where we haven't even seen him out there.
Yeah, it's really puzzling. I don't know if anyone's asked him about it or not. I mean, I haven't seen it. Maybe I'm the only person that's privately yelling, like, why isn't Jimmy doing this? Or, or you too. Yeah.
You're not, because I see it on Twitter during games. And look, I think it is time that we ask ourselves, or I guess give Dave a little bit more benefit of the doubt and say, what is it that Horn is unable to do? It's got to be something. Like, as many different dudes as have gone back to field kicks and punts, it does not make sense he would not have gotten a chance if he shows any kind of promise.
Yeah, I don't know. That makes me want to message Darren Gant actually and be like, what's up with this? Like, because I know he would know. I feel like he would know why. Like, because it is baffling to me. Like, that is the guy that literally did that. We assumed he was drafted for that reason. I mean, it's hard for me to believe that there's not that, like, it's entirely there's something. I can't imagine what the something would be.
I can't either. And it should be pointed out, by the way, Etienne was a returner at Florida. Remember that he transferred from Florida to Georgia and spent an entire year where he only fielded one punt. I mean, and that doesn't mean that he can't do it. It tells me that Etienne is certainly very capable of being a returner, but it is not like this is the role he is built for.
I lived through the Britton Burson era, okay? So it is easier for me to be accepting of the fact that if you catch the punt and go down with it in your possession, I can be okay with that. Look, however, I think you can expect more,
I think Panthers fans and to a certain extent Vikings fans, although he was more used this way with the Panthers, we are willing to accept, like, if you can do it, fine, get out there and do it. Like, remember, at one point, Joe Webb was both the backup quarterback and the punt returner during the Cam Newton years. So we will.
To me, that's just saying, like, I give up. That's like, you're just like, I'm not even trying right now.
Yeah. This season, the Panthers have averaged 23.7 yards on kick returns. I think that's about normal for the NFL these days. 6.9 yards on punt returns, though. Like, that is, and I would guess, Lauren, I would guess the majority of punts to the Panthers have ended with fair catches. That's my guess. I don't know for sure. It
seems like, yeah.
Before we wrap up today, let's talk about the injury situation, particularly on the O-line, but we do need to, we need to acknowledge Pat Jones is out for the rest of the year. That is why the Panthers went and signed, I can't remember the guy's first name, but Gibson off of the 49ers practice squad, a guy who up until last week, the 49ers were using a lot. So I don't know what we have there. You look on social media and people are talking about him like, this is the steal of the century, and I just keep thinking, but he was on the practice squad. Like, how good could this possibly be? But I'm rooting for it. BryceYoung back this week. It seems nothing is official at recording time, 11:20 on Wednesday the 29th. Lauren, the offensive line is a different story.
Oof.
The practice window was opened right before we started recording on Chandler Zavala. This is just like Jalen Coker earlier in the year. This is just like Jonathan Brooks.
It might take him a couple of weeks, yeah.
Right. They have 21 days from right now to get him on the field. Otherwise, he is on injured reserve for the rest of the year. But the fact that he's practicing is a good sign.
Yeah.
Brady Christensen went down in this game with what Canales described as a significant Achilles injury. He's probably done for the year. Taylor Moton went down with a knee injury. Came back out to the sidelines, but was in street clothes. Cade Mays went down with an ankle injury. He didn't come back in the game, but he at least stayed dressed. Lauren, I don't know how you put together 5 guys in positions they are used to playing the rest of the way.
Well, especially when you lose a guy like Christensen, because like he's the, kind of the Swiss Army knife of the O-line.
He's the Swiss Army knife. Mays, Mays has been, what would you call him? The Swiss Army knife of the interior, maybe?
Yes. Yeah.
So
to lose them like really hurts. Like that's why I literally winced, you just hearing those names. Like those are some of the guys you just cannot lose.
And look, Moton is your leader. Yeah. Moton
exactly.
is your veteran presence on the offensive line.
And the thing is, like, they have increased their depth so much legitimately on the O-line to where they've had injuries here and there, and you really haven't noticed. At least I have. It hasn't been super obvious, and like they've been able to use that depth and for the most part, like go on seamlessly. But we saw that really take its toll late in that game. In a time where you felt like in theory Buffalo should be like easing off a little bit. Yeah. It got more difficult instead of less difficult because of the injuries on the O-line. And it's just like, it's not, I worry that that's one too many, honestly, for this group to sustain. Hopefully they can get a few of those guys back and like it can at least be decent, because there are like, yes, this is the tougher portion of the schedule, like overall, but you do have the Saints in 2 weeks. That is a game that I swear to God, if you don't win the freaking game, I will have like a live aneurysm on this podcast and just keel over. Okay. So please, please win that. Thank you. But you would, if you have an O-line that's like as beat up on paper as it is right now with going into that game, that's not good.
No, I agree. And this is why I think that if you are Dave Canales, if you're BryceYoung, you think about, if I can play, I should play, because that ability to get away from pass rushers suddenly becomes a lot more important because there's going to be a lot more guys in the backfield.
But you also have to consider this. Does that plunge Bryce back into that dark place?
Good. That's a very good question.
I don't, it's never going to be, please knock on wood. It's not going to be as bad.
Right.
It can't be as bad as it was his rookie year. But like, you do wonder if there is that flashback moment of like, oh shit, like I'm under siege constantly. Like I it's not like it was. I mean, he's got used to a certain group being out ahead of him in a certain like competence level baseline of that group. And so I that makes me a little nervous.
It's true. I mean, he definitely has gotten used to a certain level of performance from his offensive line. I do think bringing the episode full circle, though, I do think that level of play from the offensive line has still been such that you need a guy that can move the pocket. And this is why I think you hear conversations, whether or not they make sense to you and me. It's why after Sunday, you hear conversations of, do you make a change at backup quarterback? Because obviously there's a huge drop off in what's the right word? Not just performance, but like a drop off in
ball security, mobility.
Security, sure. No, the word I'm looking for, I guess, a drop off in replacement level.
Yeah.
When you are going to a guy that cannot do the physical things.
And it's really frustrating because he throws a nice ball still.
He really does. You texted me that, and so I went back and, rewinded the game a little bit. And you're right, but you cannot get past that before the game. Like Dave Canales said point blank, we're working with 80% of the playbook this week. Like that is a reality.
Yes, 100%. So, I mean, it is what it is at this point. And like, by the way, don't turn it over, my guy. Like if you just did that, it would all be okay. Just, Andy.
Are we with a new season of Stranger Things weeks away at this point? A win on the road.
Season 4.
What's that?
Sorry, I was just saying I'm about to rewatch season 4 here shortly. I'm watching 3 with my kid. He can't watch 4, so we'll finish that and then I'll.
4 is where it got too scary for Demetri. So
really,
I don't want to look at that Vecna guy. No, thank you.
Well, I was going to tell you to watch It. Welcome to Derry, but just tell Sally to watch that. You would not handle that,
Lauren. You will enjoy this. This is very much the Demetri. I was told yesterday because Sally is off work this week. I was told yesterday, please go ride your bike or go to the gym. I would like to watch It, Welcome to Derry, without having to worry if it is going to scare you.
It will scare you very much. Do not watch it.
Yeah, I don't intend to. A win on the road followed by getting absolutely destroyed at home. Lauren, are we in the upside down now?
I mean, no, because this is like par for the course, actually, sadly. This is the normal part. I think the true upside down would have been if they somehow managed to like pull off a dominant win last week. And then we'd be like, wait a minute, this isn't right.
All right, we'll end. I was about to say we'll end right there, but Lauren, we have an ending to the show now.
Yeah, quite literally, everyone, including Panthers players. I sup, son.